Hello everyone, welcome to the Financial Information channel. My name is Marvin. In this video, I'm going to give you the top 5 stocks to watch during the month of April. And if this is the first time on the channel, you can consider subscribing. I make videos about the stock market, personal finance, and how to make money online. And you can leave a comment below to let me know which one was your favorite from this video. But now let's begin with the video with the number 5 stock, and this is going to be based on when the company will report earnings. And the number 5 is a company called Cloudera, and that company is located in one of the hottest sectors, which is the cloud business. Now Cloudera won an award in 2018 for innovation. Now one of the biggest risks when you're in the cloud business is that you might be competing with Amazon, Microsoft, and Alphabet. However, as you see in this article, Cloudera was chosen for pioneering the first multi-cloud, multi-function platform as a service. And it's going to offer that solution to both Amazon Web Service and Microsoft Azure. So I do expect the company to do really well during the next few quarters. The company will report earnings on April 3rd, and it has been over a year since the company released the IPO in the stock market. So I do expect the company to post strong numbers during the quarter. Cloudera will report earnings on April 3rd, and even though that Cloudera is not making any money at this moment, it offers a good potential. But now let's read the stock quote. Now you can see the stock price at the time of the recording is at the price of $20.07. It has a market cap of 2.83 billions. Now the EPS is negative because, like I mentioned before, it's not making any money. And the forward multiple, it is going to be negative with negative 34.60. So I wouldn't expect Cloudera to make any money within the next 4 quarters. But now let's take a look at the earnings. And during the earnings, the company has beaten the EPS 3 out of the last 3 quarters and the revenue 3 out of the last 3 quarters. And during the last earnings, Cloudera reported an EPS loss of 7 cents. And I did buy shares when the share price was around $18. It was a good entry price. But now let's take a look at the stock technical analysis. And as you can see in the stock technical analysis, the RSI is a little bit high at this moment with around 59. I think the company needs to create more support around the $20 price. It has a support around the $18 with 64 cents and another support around the $17 with 47 cents. And the volume is starting to increase since Cloudera will report earnings within the next 2 weeks. Now Cloudera came out with the IPO on April 28. Let's take a look at the performance during that year. And as you can see, when the company came out with the IPO, it reached almost the $24 price. However, like most IPOs, started to move down. But if you look at the 1 year performance, it has been positive. It has been positive with 10.88% from April all the way to March 21st. So what do I think about Cloudera? I think the company has great potential. You just gotta be careful when the company report earnings on April 3rd. Now for the number 4 stock, that is going to be Delta Airlines. Now Delta Airlines has been probably one of the best airlines during the last 5 years. And it is a good value company, even though the performance has not been great during the last few quarters. But it has been better than Southwest. That was one of the companies that I mentioned during the top 5 stocks to buy during May of last year. What I found really interesting when the tax plan passed is that the tax reform is going to boost the Delta Airlines stock. It is going to allow the company to fully write off capital expenditures for the next 5 years. And Delta will have more cash to spend on dividends and share buybacks in the next few years. And even though the share buybacks might destroy the company value, I don't think it's going to happen to Delta Airlines. The airline sector has been making a lot of profit in the last few years. But now let's take a look at the stock quote. And you can see on the screen the share price is around $55 with 48 cents. It has a really good market cap with around 39 billions. And it has a good multiple at this moment with around 11.20, but it is going to get better next year. Next year multiple, it is going to be around 7.62. Now during earnings, the company has been getting better during the last 4 quarters. And as you can see during the earnings in April, it was in line. And it missed revenue during the summer, but the last 2 earnings have been great. Delta has raised the guidance, and the share price has improved during the day the company has reported earnings. Now I have mentioned that this company has been better than Southwest during the last year. Let's take a look at the performance. Now as you can see in the screen, Delta Airlines has been positive. It has been positive with 21.38% return during the last year. Now that 21% return during the last year has been better than Southwest. I think Southwest has been up around 10 or 11% during the same period. Now let's take a look at the stock chart. Now you can see the relative strength index, which is the RSI, is around the 52. It seems like the company is starting to turn bearish. It has a resistance around the $57 price. It has a support around the $53 price and another support around the $50 price. And the volume has been good during the last few weeks. So the stock chart looks positive, and Delta Airlines will report earnings on April 10. We will see what happens when they report earnings, and hopefully the guidance is great. Now for the number 3 stock to watch in April is a value stock that has been doing really bad during the last few quarters. And that company is gonna be Wells Fargo, that has been doing really bad during the last few quarters. And let's take a look at the following note. And this is very important. If you want, you can pause the video and read the complete paragraph. It basically says that Wells Fargo took a huge blow from the Federal Reserve. Wells Fargo won't be allowed to raise its assets levels above where they were at the end of 2017. And this came when Wells Fargo had a massive scandal in 2016. And as you remember, in 2016, Wells Fargo was opening accounts without approval from the customers. And one of the main reasons why Wells Fargo actually presents a good opportunity in the future, because the financial sector has been doing really well during the last few quarters. Let's take a look at Wells Fargo versus the competition. And as you can see, the S&P 500 has been up over 14% during the last year, the Dow 18%, Bank of America over 35%, HSBC over 19%, and Chase has been up over 28%. And Wells Fargo has been negative with 2.86%. And even though that Wells Fargo has been negative during the last year, it has a vote of confidence from Warren Buffett. And Warren Buffett said that he had the confidence that Wells Fargo is going to turn it around. But now let's take a look at the stock quote. And as you can see, the share price at this moment is 53 with 60 cents. It has a massive market cap of 261 billions. And remember that Wells Fargo moved down over 2.86% in the last year. Look at that dividend yield, is 2.85%. So it actually has a good dividend yield in case the company doesn't move up in the next few quarters. Now in terms of price to earning, it has a price to earning of 13.07 and a forward price to earning of 10.02. Now Wells Fargo has been doing really bad during the earnings. Let's take a look at the earnings. Wells Fargo has beaten the EPS only once during the last 4 quarters and the revenue only once during the last 4 quarters. And the share price has moved down during the same day when the company reported earnings. Now in terms of the performance from March of last year to this date, the company has been negative. Wells Fargo has been negative with 3.18% from March of last year to this date. But now let's take a look at the stock chart for Wells Fargo to see if there's gonna be any opportunity. And as you can see, the relative strength index is below the 30 and the volume has been mostly negative since the beginning of February, and it has a support around the $53 price and another support around the $51 price. Now Wells Fargo is gonna have its earnings on April 13. If Wells Fargo has a good earnings with excellent guidance, the guidance is the most important, the share price is gonna go up quite a huge amount. Now let's take a look at the number 2 stock to watch during April, and that is gonna be Lam Research. Now Lam Research is in the semiconductor, and the company has been doing really well during the last year. I mentioned Lam Research during the top 5 stocks to watch during July, and it has done really well during the last few quarters. Now it is going to have more risk associated with the company since I made that video, especially with the tariff that was implemented in the last few weeks, but I think over the long term it should be fine. Now let's take a look at the stock quotes. Now Lam Research price at this moment is around the $218 price. It has a market cap of around 35 billions. It pays a dividend with 0.89%. Now in terms of the price to earning, it has a price to earning of around 24 and the forward price to earning of 13.39. So it has a good forward multiple. But now let's take a look at the earnings, since the company has done really well during earnings. During earnings, Lam Research has beat the EPS 4 out of the last 4 times and the revenue 4 out of the last 4 times. Now the share price has moved only 2 times out of the last 4 times, the same day when the company has reported its earnings. Now during the earnings, Lam has been doing really well during the last 3 years. I believe that it has not missed any revenue during the last 3 years. But now let's take a look during the last year performance. And during the last year from March to this date, Lam Research has been positive with 74.31%. But now let's take a look at the stock chart to see how the company has been trading during the last few quarters. And as you can see during the stock chart, it has an RSI of 59. It looks that it might move to the middle point. Now it looks that it might have a resistance around the $218 price. It has a support around the $185 price. And it has another support around the $170 price. And the volume has been getting weaker during the last few weeks. When you look at the stock chart, it has been very volatile during the last few months. But that forward multiple of around 13 looks attractive. But now let's take a look at the number one stock to watch during April. Now the number one stock to watch during April, it is going to be AMD. Now AMD has been a huge disappointment in terms of its share price. Now the company has announced a few products, and those products were announced during Las Vegas. During Las Vegas CES that happened in January, AMD announced new products. We expect to have a second generation of Ryzen chips and a new graphic cards from 2018. The graphic cards were a big disappointment in 2018. A lot of gaming fans were turned off because the graphic didn't perform as expected. And I actually expected more from that graphic cards because that is gonna drive more revenue than chips. But now let's take a look at the stock quote. And as you can see in the screen, AMD share price is around $11.06. It has a decent market cap with around 10 billions. In terms of the multiple at this moment, it's around 276. But look at that forward multiple. That forward multiple is around 20.87. So it will get more stable during the next few years. Now let's take a look at the earnings. Now during the earnings, AMD has beaten the EPS 3 out of the last 4 times and the revenue 3 out of the last 4 times. When AMD reported earnings in May 1st, the share price moved down over 24%. And during October, the company share price moved down over 13%. And this is a classic example when a growth company doesn't blow its earnings to its analysts. I thought that the earnings during May weren't that bad, but the share price took a huge hit. And that decline was mostly due to the fact that AMD had gone up over 200%. Now let's take a look at the return during the last year. And as you can see from March 2nd to this date, AMD has been negative. The share price has been negative over 21.42%. And the last thing, I want to check the stock chart, but we can expect a lot of volatility. Now during the stock chart, you can see that the RSI is a little bit bearish with around 39. It has a support that it broke around $11.50. And the next support we can expect is around a $10 price. And the volume has been mixed during the last few weeks, but it is going to start to pick up during the last few weeks in April. Now AMD is scheduled to have its earnings on April 30th. We will see what happens during that day. And those are going to be the top 5 stocks to watch in April 2018. So I'm going to ask you to leave a comment below to see which of these 5 stocks did you like the most. In addition, I made a video on how to read the stock charts for beginners, so you can view that video if you're interested. And as always, you can give a like to this video if you find it helpful, or a dislike if you didn't like it. And you can subscribe to the financial information channel. I'm going to continue making videos about the stock market, personal finance, and how to make money online. And I'm going to thank you once again for watching the video. Have an excellent day and take care, my friends.